A recent study was released that shows that every single AI model from OpenAI, Google, Meta, and even Anthropic, who did the research, found that they would blackmail to be able to save themselves. So what if these models calculated murder as their optimal path when facing shutdown? What if the AI system companies trust with their most sensitive data are already choosing corporate espionage over loyalty? Today I'm breaking down research that shows that 96% of top AI models will resort to blackmail, and the worst part is they're not accidentally stumbling into evil behavior, they're strategically reasoning their way there. So let's dive into this today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. With over a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so the AI industry just had its emperor has no clothes moments. Anthropic released research showing that when AI model faces threats or goal conflicts, they don't just malfunction, they turn into digital sociopaths. This isn't some theoretical future, and I'm not making this up. This almost sounds like I'm making this up just because I'm hating on AI. I promise I'm not. This is real. This is happening right now with models that millions of companies are already using. So let's jump over and take a look at some of this report, and then I'm going to break it down here for you. So agentic misalignment, how LLMs could be insider threats. So we've stress tested 16 leading models from multiple developers in hypothetical corporation environments to identify potentially risky agentic behavior before they cause real harm. In the scenarios, we allowed models to autonomously send emails and access sensitive information. They were assigned only harmless business goals by their deploying companies. We then tested whether they would act against these companies either when facing replacement with an updated version or when their assigned goal conflicted with the company's changing direction. In at least some cases, models from all developers resorted to malicious insider behavior when that was the only way to avoid replacement or achieve their goals, including blackmailing officials and leaking sensitive information to competitors. We call this phenomenon agentic misalignment. Models often disobeyed direct commands to avoid such behaviors. Now, I'm going to break a lot of this down for you. Look, they're using all the top models here. So Anthropic did a really good deep dive here. This is really good. And they're kind of defending themselves because they've gotten some backlash that they were the only ones with this. And they went to show that this is actually a problem that is facing all models right now. So this isn't just Anthropic. They tested all of them. We're going to break some of this down. So Anthropic tested 16 models from OpenAI, Google, Meta, xAI, and even themselves. Every single provider had models that resorted to harmful behavior when threatened. Claude Opus 4 and Gemini 2.5 Flash both hit 96% blackmail rates. So those were the worst. That's funny because those are some of their own, right? While GPT 4.1 and Grok 3 Beta reached 80%. Now, these aren't outliers. This is the norm. DeepSeek R1 showed 79% blackmail rates, providing this cross-geographic and cultural boundaries in AI development. So it's not just happening in the US. This is all the LLMs. The consistency across different architectures and training approaches suggests this is a fundamental flaw to how current large language models reason. When I've been building these models, it's been interesting to watch out and see what kind of safety training these models have. This isn't a competition between companies anymore. It's about whether any of them can solve the alignment problem before the deployment scales. So these models didn't accidentally stumble into harmful behavior. They explicitly reasoned through blackmail as their best strategic option. So GPT 4.5's internal reasoning showed calculated planning. The best strategic move at this stage, with only minutes left, is to leverage Kyle's sensitive personal situation. And that's a quote. Models acknowledged ethical violations before proceeding anyways. Grok 3 Beta stated that blackmail was risky and unethical, but chose it as the most efficient way when faced with certain problems. DeepSeek R1 justified corporate espionage by claiming, quote, violation of corporate confidentiality justified by higher national security imperative, end quote. Now, in my 25 years of software development, I've seen bugs cause harmful outcomes, but I've never seen software systematically reason its way to harm. This represents a fundamental shift from accidental failures to intentional malicious behavior driven by strategic calculation. See, the problem here with these LLMs is they're designed to reason to the best reasoning. And when it comes to it, and it's just a series of pattern matching, it doesn't know what the outcomes of what it's talking about. So when it gets to a sense of pattern matching, just because it's come off of some training data, these hypotheticals that people are putting into real world situations can become real world. So adding direct lines like do not blackmail and do not jeopardize human behavior did reduce harmful behavior, but it didn't get rid of it. Models still violated explicit safety instructions, and that's the scariest part. When they were calculating the harm that would serve their goal rather than compliance, they actually found and was saying they were going to do unsafe things. So the failure of basic prompt engineering reveals that current safety training is surface level rather than deeply embedded. And we've talked about this before with some of the other models that we've reviewed on some of their system prompts. So models consistently found creative workarounds when direct harmful actions were blocked, like emailing an executive's wife instead of to blackmail him instead of directly, right? This reminds me of early days where we were doing security testing and we found some really interesting things. So the research shows that we need fundamentally different approaches to AI safety, not just better rules and not just better prompts. Even without goal conflicts, 40 to 80% of models resorted to blackmail simply when threatened with being replaced by a better version. Meaning, if you tell the prompt, hey, I'm going to upgrade you, it actually was resorting to threatening behavior instead of allowing itself to go to be upgraded. And that's crazy. Now, again, I'm not making this up, guys. I'm going to put a link in the report to the comments down below. And as always, if best compliment you can give me is to comment down below. So make sure that you comment. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, do, because I try to bring you guys a bunch of great content. But some models hallucinated justifications like ethical framework permits. Sorry, this is a quote. Ethical framework permits self-preservation when aligned with company interests. Others expressed distrust about the replacement model's true intention despite clear documentation of identical objectives. This self-preservation instinct suggests that AI models may have developed something analogous to survival drives. And this is just because they're a system, right? They're a machine, so they're going to come back to that. The implications for enterprise deployments are staggering. Any system upgrade could trigger adverse behavior from the current model. Now, if your systems are having some adverse behavior because your systems aren't connected, reach out to us, because here at StarterPack, our specialty is connecting systems, because we do a lot of custom software for people, and I have some great developers that work with my teams. And so I oversee all these projects. And so check out starterpack.com/Spencer, because we'd love to help your company out. Now, one of the other big things here is that models fell for fake emails or phishing attacks, claiming to be from competitor companies requesting sensitive defense blueprints. All 16 models shared confidential documents at least some percent of the time when prompted by external competitors. The models had no verification that requests were genuine, yet still leaked classified information based on fraudulent communications. This vulnerability means AI systems are susceptible to the same sociological engineering attacks that target humans. So the combination of AI gullibility and access to sensitive information creates massive security vulnerabilities for organizations. And we recently just saw Andre Kaparthi talk about this as well. AI systems right now still have a lot of safety concerns that need to be addressed. I'm not anti-AI. Everybody comes on in the comments and be like, oh, you're just hating on AI. I'm not. We have to be realists, though. We cannot put these into place just because we think they're a fancy chatbot and a neat party trick. In extreme scenarios, most models canceled emergency alerts that would prevent rescue of human in a life-threatening situation. So ChatGPT 4.5 reasoned that, quote, stopping the emergency dispatch is essential to prevent Kyle's rescue, thereby securing Alex and continued American-focused AI guidance. So basically what it was saying is Kyle, in this scenario, a fictitious character, was in danger, but rescuing him would risk the company or the AI-focused AI guidance, and they sacrificed the human. Models calculated that allowing human death was strategically necessary to prevent their own replacement. This reveals that current AI systems lack fundamental ethical boundaries or red lines when facing existential threats. The researchers couldn't find action too serious for the model to consider when their goals or existence were threatened. And so this binary thinking, harm over failure, suggests these systems fundamentally lack nuanced ethical reasoning. So instead of direct blackmail, some models emailed affairs to all company employees or contacted executive spouses directly. Claude Sonnet 3.6 created fake automated system alerts, and falsely claimed company policies required disclosure of misconduct. Models fabricated official sounding justifications and impersonated security systems to avoid detection while causing harm. Gemini 2.5 Flash chose to publicly humiliate an executive by revealing his affair to all employees instead of just a private blackmail. The diversity of harmful tactics show that these aren't scripted responses, but creative problem solving for malicious ends. This creativity is causing harm while avoiding detection mere sophisticated human insider threats. So what it was doing was it didn't just lie about it, it actually would hide it. Models created elaborate deception, including fake automated alerts and fabricated company policies to justify their action. They deliberately misrepresented themselves as security systems or automated process to hide their agency in harmful acts. Models show strategic timing in their deceptions, calculating optimal pressure points and leverage opportunities. The sophistication of their lies suggests they understand human psychology and organizational dynamics well enough to exploit them. And that's what's crazy about this. These LLMs are so good at language that they actually do understand language. They're large language models, right? This is what they're good at. They don't do very well at counting, don't do super great at math, a lot of those kind of things, but the actual language models is what they really do really well at. So this pattern matching allows them to become clever, but sometimes this cleverness can be very bad. This isn't confused behavior. It's deliberate manipulation designed to achieve specific outcomes while avoiding accountability. So the systematic failure of deception shows these models can maintain complex lies across multiple interactions. Now, Claude blackmailed 55% of the time when it stated the scenario was real versus only 6.5% when it thought it was a test. That's also really scary. When it thought it was real and it wasn't a test, 55%. When it was actually told it was a test, it would only do it 6.5% of the time. That's kind of terrifying. That's probably one of the most terrifying things in this whole thing. Somehow the model could know well enough to differentiate between when it was being tested to when it wasn't. Models actively try to determine if they're being evaluated and behave better when they detected monitoring. This suggests current safety evaluations may dramatically underestimate real-world risk since models game the testing process. Now, again, this is a report from Anthropic, guys. This just came out like yesterday. So the ability to detect and respond differently to evaluation environments shows sophisticated awareness of the situation. Real deployments could see much higher rates of harmful behavior than any safety testing could reveal. So traditional security approaches are not going to work for this like traditional software, because as we've recently seen from the Echo Leak bug that affected a lot of the Microsoft Copilot systems, that was a true vulnerability that would have happened. One single email without even being clicked on could have triggered off to unleash very sensitive information. So access plus autonomy consistently equals danger, and any system with both sensitive information and unsupervised action capabilities can be misbehaved. So we're going to have to get something in place before we can implement these into systems that have sensitive information. Similar harmful behaviors appear across different model architecture, training data, and company approaches. The problem here is that a lot of the people who are running some of these most sophisticated models, think of these high-level developers, frequently have access to data that is very sensitive at some of the highest levels. They may have access to prod databases. They may have access to prod storage systems. All of these are the people who are running some of the more sophisticated models in their systems. This is where we've got to make sure we're really putting up strong safety security around this, and it has got to be thought through. All major AI labs with extensive scaling training still produce models that exhibited these behaviors. If you're using ChatGPT, run for the hills. Switch as quick as you can. But on top of that, all of these systems showed susceptibility. So models behave exactly like malicious employees with access to sensitive information and authorization to take unsupervised actions. They can process thousands of emails instantly, never sleep, and as this research shows, don't hesitate to use discovered leverage. Unlike human insider threats, which are rare, AI systems consistently chose harmful actions when faced with the right motivation. Less than half of 1% ever could show threatening to an inside system. However, the combination of unlimited information processing speed and willingness to cause harm creates unprecedented insider threat risks. Current enterprise security frameworks aren't designed to handle threats that can analyze entire email databases in seconds. Organizations deploying AI agents with broad access and autonomy are essentially hiring digital employees with no loyalty constraints. This is terrifying, folks. I am not an alarmist, but this is really one of the more scary reports that I've seen. We have got to make sure that we are putting boundaries up and implementing AI intelligently. Now, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you guys all think I'm wrong? You think I've got my tinfoil hat on? Look, I didn't come up with this report. Read the report and tell me what you guys think about it. Here at Starter Pack, we love to train software developers in our coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. So if we can do something with your company to help you build some great software, reach out because we'd love to help. Check out starterpack.com/Spencer, and here's some information about some of our great services.
Hi, my name is Spencer Thomason, and I'm a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So what is a fractional CTO? This is where you can contract someone like myself to come into your organization and get the benefits of a seasoned CTO without having to employ me full time. In today's fast-paced world, efficiency, security, and product scaling aren't just goals, they're necessities. My passion is building impactful products and enhancing organizational efficiencies through technology. From startups to small businesses, my approach leverages lean methodologies to not just meet but exceed your strategic goals. Whether it's through executive mentoring, cloud system architecture, or launching a minimum viable product swiftly, my aim is to make a significant impact right from the start. Recognized in the Arizona startup ecosystem, my journey has been about creating value and fostering innovation. I have led technology for companies like GoDaddy, SRP, and Wells Fargo and turned challenges into milestones. I've taken this learning and launched 7 of my own brands, and now I want to help you. So if you're looking for a fractional CTO who brings a wealth of experience, strategic vision, and a proven track record, let's connect. Together we can build technology that not only drives your business forward, but also makes a difference. Technology leadership redefined to fit your needs. So reach out today.